Hello, welcome back to the InsTech Podcast. Zoya here, your podcast producer. This week, Robin Merttens is joined by two industry leaders to discuss the practical changes happening in the world of commercial insurance and reinsurance technology. Joining him are Martin Olley from AdvantageGo and Laurence Trigwell from Insurers. They'll talk about the real progress being made in applying AI and intelligent document processing, moving from conversations to action, and what this means for the future of the industry. You'll also hear about their recent partnership and how they're working together to address the evolving needs of their clients. Over to Robin.
Welcome to this week's InsTech Podcast. My name's Robin Merttens, and this week I'm bringing you a double act. I'm joined by Martin Olley, who's the head of North America and APAC for AdvantageGo. AdvantageGo provides software solutions to the commercial insurance and reinsurance industry, and including in your package of products, underwriting, policy admin, exposure management solutions. Martin, welcome, and does that sound about right?
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Yeah, spot on.
And the other part of the double act is Laurence Trigwell. He's head of strategy and the chief revenue officer at Insurance. And Insurance provides intelligent document processing solutions to the industry, including most notably to Marsh. Laurence, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Robin. Delighted to be here.
Martin, I'm going to start with you. We did this at our event last week. We talked a little bit about what 24 looked like, what 25 might hold. We're going to carry on in that vein today. What's 24 been like for AdvantageGo, selling software into the commercial insurance and reinsurance space? What I'm really after is, it's great to have all this chatter about the need to change and people looking at investing, lots of polite inquiries about tech. But is anything actually happening?
Yeah, chatter. So I'd say actually probably even through the back end of 2023 and into 2024, there's definitely been a lot of chatter, and I'm sure as everybody agrees, especially Laurence would say, a lot of that chatter's been dominated by AI. And I think we've actually got to a stage now, though, where the industry understands, yes, it's the application of that AI that's actually going to help us and make a change and benefit our industry. I would say that definitely the first half was very much talk, but through the second half, it's a call to action. And we're seeing a lot more people actually applying the talk, and we're moving into a number of pursuits, and people are definitely delivering against the talk.
And do you sense that there's real appetite? I mean, there is a difference between a POC, a little trial, let's put a toe in the water, or are people seriously considering investing proper money in upgrading their technology in the areas where you play?
Most definitely the appetite for investment. I think most organisations have realised they need to take advantage of the new technology that to their benefit. And even when we say around the POC, the pilot sort of stage, what we're seeing is that's actually a proof point that's moving directly into the full project.
Laurence, what's characterised 24 for insurance? Back to this idea of the difference between chatter and real action. In the commercial insurance space and the documents and data that relates to it, that everybody seems to be looking for more efficient underwriting. Everybody seems to want some intelligent document processing as part of their kind of risk ops strategy. Has that led to more demand for your solutions?
Great question. We spent a reasonable amount of time testing the proposition before we launched in March 24, and I think that was really helpful. It gave us a lot of context. In answer to the question, there's significant recognition that valuable information is locked away in documents. And there's constant appetite for broader, deeper context and data to inform the processes pre and post-bind, to streamline operations, to support specialists so they can better serve clients and partners. And I think that's what drives the whole move towards, I think, what you refer to as risk operations, this efficient, intelligent management of an operations process end to end. But that's difficult when information is locked away in documents and processes. So we're absolutely seeing significant demand to intelligently extract and abstract that information to support those processes. To Martin's point, there's been lots of Gen I exploration, if I can call it that. I think what's emerging now, similar to Martin, is this intelligent, practical, value-adding series of use cases where Gen AI is adding value as part of a suite of capabilities and technologies. The idea that it was nirvana and a bit of a panacea, I think, is waning, and people are getting more intelligent and articulate about where to use it.
So, Martin, that's 24. What do you think 25 looks like? If you're right, there's some of this, it was a slow first half of the year, second half of the year picked up. Is that going to manifest itself in 25, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue right the way through into 2025. The demand for change through these organisations, as I said previously, I think everybody's recognised that the available technology that's there now that can be taken advantage of.
And Laurence, is it just more of this execution of a risk ops strategy that you think for 25, or are there other trends that you think might come into play?
I think it's more the same. I'll take one step back first, and that's to say that the size of the problem and the size of the prize is significant. I think people are in the early foothills, if you like, of addressing the problem and getting the confidence that the capabilities that Martin talked about and that we provide are now tangible and real, and they're delivering the value. And what that really means, I think, in answer to your question, is people will be using these capabilities to support new use cases, new processes in new geographies and new markets. Now, in order to meet the expectations of that, demands deep understanding of how commercial insurance works and the processes and the documents. Without it, people will get very disappointed very quickly, I think.
So I'm going to be a bit controversial now. Both those answers are a little bit, I'm encouraged, it's exciting, there's more interest and action than we've seen before, but it doesn't sound to me like full-scale implementations. You're so busy, you've no idea what to do with the next big project. And that brings me to something we come back to time and time again on these podcasts, which is, why is this so difficult? Why does it take so long? Why are people still in the foothills, as it were? Laurence, why don't it start with you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it is a tough problem to solve. I think that's the first thing to say. Transforming the environments, the systems, the processes that we've had in place for hundreds of years, or at least decades, when we talk about latest technologies, is not easy. When people are talking about intelligently extracting information from these documents to support processes, for all but the largest, the training sets are too small. Often people are applying horizontal technologies that don't understand commercial insurance. The difference between a submission or an SOV or a loss run, a binder, a slip is critically important, because otherwise we don't know what to extract and why people want to use that information and how they want to apply it into the process. And they don't have the time to train the horizontal technology or the provider of the technology to do it. The other element is what we also find, even within commercial insurance, is that some of the technologies don't handle all of the formats. So there are some providers that don't handle spreadsheets, others that don't handle PDFs. That creates silos. It's a process silo, not a technology silo. And the second thing is that sometimes we see a reliance on a single technology or a technique as a panacea. And our experience of the last 5 years, maybe even 80%, 85%, but to get to 90, 95, 98% accuracy is very difficult. And that needs a combination. And that, I think, that's delivering the confidence and the engagement.
Yeah, interesting. Martin, it's slightly different for you. When you sell policy admin systems, that's not something people buy them once in a generation. But you've also got underwriter workbenches, you've got your exposure management, you've got a good suite of tools there. You must want quicker progress. Is there anything we can do, or do we just have to soldier on?
I think why we will see the demand and why people will start to run into these programs, because realise the value of your investment much quicker than in previous times. Going on to your point around policy administration and underwriting, so pre-bind, which is actually streamed into post-bind now. When you look at these current projects that we're running now, it's very much about quick wins. So they're much shorter. They're not ripping and replacing the heart out of these systems, whereby historically people would go off into sort of a dark room and then 6, 8 months, 10 months later, a year later, come out and say, there you go, and it's not what was required. It's very much an agile delivery. And we would look now, especially on the underwriting side, to deliver something into UAT at great pace to realise your investment. And that's like 9 weeks into UAT. So people really buy into that. It's great for adoption as well, because people get actually excited. They've actually received something in the business. And that's the way that organisations can get buy-in and build excellent business cases.
I do say that there's far more confidence in the technology than there was. We're all three old enough to experience the scar tissue of previous generations of tech investment. It took a long time to overcome that. Quality of the tech being provided and the stories which come from successful implementations is definitely feeding confidence. You can feel it. Now, you two are here because we announced a tie-up a couple of weeks ago now, in which Insurance joined the AdvantageGo ecosystem. Laurence, what was the genesis of that? How did it come about?
This is a case of two Brits meeting at a conference in InsurTech Hartford. We were there because we were sponsored by the UK government as one of the interesting InsurTechs in the UK. And Martin was there serving his industry and his community of his clients. And so we met at a conference. We had a joint client that we were working on and collaborating on. And that was the genesis. A really great place to start, because it gave a beating heart to this great idea burnished in the fire of a client engagement and the real need.
In going to InsurTech or tech conferences in far parts of the world, meeting Brits, but perhaps I've got it wrong. I've got it all wrong. It's not where all the action is. And I sit here in London. Why don't I meet them all here? It doesn't make any sense. Martin, who's the client? And what did you do? What are you doing together?
I'll just touch on what Laurence said and the way we met, and sort of in general what sort of I've been doing over through this year. I look after a lot of our international business that includes London, but a lot out in the US, Bermuda. I spend a lot of my time going to events right across the globe. And a big part of that is, yes, it's to look for prospects for a business, but a big part of that also is to look to build our ecosystem. The importance to have a broad, best-in-class ecosystem that can deliver against not just ingestion partners, but solution partners, data partners, and delivery partners is so important to us. With regard to this particular client that Laurence and I are sort of jointly engaged with, they're an organisation called Multistrat, domained out of Bermuda. Multistrat Reinsurance, ILS. Excellent organisation that's going through a very large growth stage. And what we've been able to deliver to them is a full end-to-end solution. But on the ingestion side, whether that be from placing platforms or through Outlook inbox, we've chosen Insurance to be our partner in that.
I'm sorry, I'm giving you a tough time. So I hear that, and what pleases me about it is driven by client demand. But when I hear the word ecosystem, when I get really cynical, I say to myself, well, what is an ecosystem? So many of them are PR driven, and you do a quick test of the API and you say, hey, we could link if we ever wanted to. Let's make a big announcement. And hey ho, I've got an ecosystem. But tell me you're doing more than that.
I couldn't agree more. When we launched our ecosystem, that was definitely the challenge, not just to be seen in that. No, we're looking to be able to get into a position from an AdvantageGo point of view that if the customer wants it, we can actually prime that contract. And we can prime that so they've got one point of contact. And then we might have 1, 2, 3, 10 ecosystem partners sitting behind that contract. But we can front that so they've got one point of contact, which makes it much easier for the customer, but also for our eco partners as well, because sometimes the eco partners may not be of a size that their actual prospect, the client, would necessarily look at them to do business with. But that opens up the opportunity, and it's all to the benefit of the customer, because then they get the best-in-class technology.
And then did I see you've added CyberCube to the mix in the last couple of weeks as well?
Yeah, that's our latest. I think you'll see quite a few more coming through, specifically on the cyber side. I mean, we've invested heavily into that over the year. We've got an excellent offering in there, and it's not only CyberCube. We've got a number of our data services connected to cyber that we use in order to score and opportunity of risk and that type of stuff. CyberCube again was a great addition for us, and that again came out of customer demand, right? So talking to a number of customers, especially out in the US, and more we spoke to some of the large organizations and said, what do you do today and who do you use? And the name CyberCube came up. So we thought, we'll go and bring them into the fold. And that's very much as well the way that the ecosystem grows. At the point of, you're 100% right. The best thing to do is to have a real customer that you're delivering to, right? There's no doubt about that, and because you can show the real value. But at the point when you're delivering to a customer, they will always be using some services, and you find, oh, this is a great service, right? And then what we would do is we obviously prove connectivity because we're delivering to them. And then what we would do is bring those into our ecosystem.
Laurence, I'm changing tack completely, going back to a point you made earlier, which was about the difficulty of rolling these things out and percentage of accuracy and so on. And it raises a question in my mind, which is, in your space, things are moving very fast. And at some point, this is all about OCR, machine learning, extraction, ingestion. With the increasing capabilities of AI, people are going to start asking you to do a whole lot more than extract their documents. And we're moving into a world where it's as much about decisioning as it is about the data and leading to next best steps and to some extent in making decisions. Is that what you're seeing, and what does that mean for you?
Yeah, it may be Laurence, but we can use a number of different techniques, a number of different service providers, depending on the market, the line of business, and bring those together in order to play the insight back into the underwriting.
Yes, we're definitely seeing that movement. So the use of OCR, natural language, machine learning, the application of business rules, AI, and now Gen AI is absolutely how we have developed. Training ourselves in Marsh for the last 5 years, strong commercial insurance team that's been working with them for that long, and that's given us a strong understanding of the requirement. The takeaway is that it is the breadth of technologies and techniques and algorithms build that confidence and that accuracy, and that's incredibly important. And that's why we get drawn into a whole bunch of other use cases where if you can get this information out, what else can we do with it? LLMs on their own as a searching technique isn't the only answer. And actually what we found is it's the orchestration of those techniques, the process that makes it work. People can't send a whole document to an LLM and get all the information back that they want. So what they end up doing is they end up breaking the document into component parts with individual questions and then interpreting the results as those individual responses come back. So they have to break it up and then reconstitute it. So that's what I mean by orchestration. LLM is the used in combination. And that is ultimately, of course, why we think working with partners who bring that expertise to support that digital transformation or that process transformation, process redesign is incredibly powerful, incredibly helpful. And that's why we're delighted to be working with AdvantageGo.
Martin, this is one for you. You need partly workflow, let's call it orchestration, and partly the services. That's how it works?
Yeah, so if we're talking about the underwriting platform, right, which is commonly known, I suppose, underwriting workbench. So if you look at what that's trying to do, that's trying to take, say, from submission right the way through to bind. And in fact, within our platform, you can probably do a little bit more than that. So that's an underwriting workflow, effectively. And what you're trying to do is supply the right insight at the right time for the underwriter to be able to make the right informed decision, which should allow them, because of the data that you've brought in and all that additional information, to be able to price correctly. We can use a number of different techniques, a number of different service providers, depending on the market, the line of business, and bring those together in order to play the insight back into the underwriting process at the right time. And I think that's the key that we play, and why we have a large ecosystem, because in the same way as we're a product organization that's actually delivering product and it's not build, in the same way we go out and buy as well, right? So we buy those services and we're not going to build them, because it's moving so fast that you need to be able to get into a position for our end customers to be able to pick the most appropriate technology at the appropriate time.
Got it. Okay. It seems to me, Laurence, ecosystems work quite well for you in the sense that I can see what you've done with AdvantageGo. They can't be the only potential ecosystem partner for you. What are you looking for, and what's the potential there?
if we come back to how we define the problem, so we see the problem of extracting and abstracting information as a problem that exists across the industry. For all the participants in multiple processes, document types, geographies, markets, we see ourselves streamlining the exchange of information between all of those participants and actors and processes and making it more frictionless. And that means we need to be working with multiple parts of the industry in order to be able to bring that frictionless information exchange. And we're now working with a number of great partners who are expert in specific areas of the market. So we're excited about replicating the model of engagement and partnering that we've developed with AdvantageGo.
I'm following the well-worn way we do these podcasts, which is to give you both a chance to sign off in style. Martin, if the audience remembers one thing from this podcast, what would you like it to be?
I would say that the technology is in a place now to be able to take advantage of and deliver that value on your investment. It is really there. It is real. People are doing it. Organisations are doing it. I think
get on with it.
Come and talk to us. Yeah.
I
think that's really what I want to say.
Similar, I think, to Martin, Robin. I think the market, the clients we're talking to should be confident in the results that we're delivering elsewhere, that the ability to extract this information that's locked away in these documents, that capability exists today. And therefore, they should be getting on with it.
The title to this podcast is going to be Get On With It. Okay, that's a very clear message from the two of you. Look, thank you for joining. Well done with your partnership. I sense that the two of you will have many more partnerships to announce. And I also wish you both the 2025 that you both wish for and that you both suggested was on the way. And I do hope that we're not all here in 12 months' time going, get on with it again. Thank you both. It was a pleasure to chat.
Lovely. Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, if you've made it this far, then I'm pretty sure you found that as interesting as I did. If you haven't already heard, Exponential Risk London is a new 2-day conference hosted by InsTech, dedicated to addressing the evolving needs of the global catastrophe and climate modelling community. Tickets are now on sale, and hopefully we'll see you in March. That's all from us this week. Goodbye.